Hello, everybody. It is just Ebontis on this one today because it is Monday and it is September 9th, and we've actually got our first information with regards to Codename Frontiers. They broke down a bit of a schedule. They gave us some ideas about the core game kind of activities, rewards, and the portal updates. And there is a 10-year article for Destiny today, but that's not really the main focus. The main focus is Frontiers. Now, when I got to this, I got to the core game activities first. So I probably spent a little more time on that than I intended because I thought that was the first thing that was coming. And then I got the whole pave the way schedule, kind of the idea of everything that's coming. So I'm going to break this into the order that it logically makes sense. We're going to start with just like what Frontiers kind of actually is, the way the expansions and seasons and all that stuff is going to go. Then I'm going to kind of move the edit and then go to core game activities. Then we're going to go to the rewards and the weapon tiers they talk about, a little bit on the portal, and then we'll just kind of wrap it up. So sorry about the weird order in this one. Just wanted to give you guys that heads up. Don't worry if you missed, like last week, there was no episode just because it was a light week and people were traveling. But this week, the guys will be with me on the show for a full podcast on Thursday. So I hope you guys join us live Thursday. It's going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern time, so 10 a.m. Pacific. And we'll do that live on my YouTube channel, and then I'll post it everywhere we usually do, so you guys can find that one later. Now let's jump into Codename Frontiers and all that we learned. Alright, so this feels like a little more of the Codename Frontiers article that I think a lot of people were curious about. The second one that I read, I'm actually going to put that in the second part of the audio if I post this up. So if you're watching me on Twitch, you're going to get this out of order. If you're listening to it, this is going to come first, because this is Codename Frontiers and kind of they actually have a plan for the future listed here. Then they're going to go into like core game system updates to like the core games. So you're like your Vanguard, your Ops, your game, like those types of things. That's a different discussion where they talk about how that's going to be kind of a new feature they're working on for next year. This is where we're looking at stuff that I think more people are probably excited about. So today marks the 10-year anniversary of Destiny 2. We set out in 2014 to do something that new and different for our studio. We've conquered the Witness, looted dungeons, ascended to the Lighthouse, and more. Now we look to the future. We're plotting our course to the stars through Codename Frontiers. We've closed the door with the final shape, but we are opening a new one. A weird one, an exciting one, that takes Destiny to places it never has before. We're building this future now, and are excited to share a first glimpse of it today. So, this picture, if you're listening to this on audio, I'm going to go through all of it. So, Destiny 2 Codename Frontiers. They have summer 2025 and winter 2025. So you would picture like a May and a December, or June and December if you're going to space that stuff apart 6 months. So, on the left-hand side of the screen, they state expansion, new stories, new locations, new missions, new weapons, new gear, new raids, and dungeons. That is what an expansion holds. First one is called Apollo. Second one is called Behemoth. Now, I don't know if they're going A, B, C, D for code names, or if Behemoth is just going to be bigger than Apollo, but we will have to see. Seasonal updates. New and reprised activities. So you could picture stuff like, I don't know, Into the Light, or deep dives, or stuff like that. New gear and artifact mods. And new modifiers and challenges, new sandbox meta, and new events. And then the rewards pass. So exotic weapon and ornament, legendary weapon and armor ornaments, gear upgrade resources, and cosmetics. So rewards pass is kind of going to be your season pass, because the season itself, they say available to all players. So the activities, the gear and artifact mods, so that's going to be your artifacts. Yeah, just your artifact with your mods that you work through. The modifiers and challenges, that's going to be the content that I cover later in the video that I'd already recorded. And the new sandbox meta and new events. So that's going to be your seasonal event type stuff, which, God, I hope they get an update. That stuff's getting a little long in the tooth. So rewards pass is probably going to be paid, and the expansions will be paid, but the seasonal activities, that part feels like it's going to be free. So we've got major update in 2025, which they do kind of talk about in the second piece. That one's called Arsenal in summer 2025. Fall of 2025, so you can kind of get a 3-month cadence there. Major update, that's codenamed Surge. And then for the expansion Behemoth, you have winter 2025 major update. And then the spring 2026 major update. So let's see if we can kind of decipher this. We've got new and reprised activities for seasons. 4 seasons instead of episodes. So apparently the episodes were really, really, really short-lived. That didn't work out well. And it does look like you're going to have 4 seasons per year. Summer, fall, winter, spring. Those are, you're going to have a major update with each one. Those are going to be available to all players. So the seasonal stuff that just comes in is going to be available to everybody. The rewards pass is going to get you an exotic weapon. Now, what I'm going to wonder is if you don't buy the reward pass, if you do not get the season pass exotic weapon. Like, if you don't get it at all, like if there's no free pass, I'm really going to be curious. If it works how it is now at level 1, you've got the free pass, and then the season pass you go through and you get it like free at like level 35. Maybe. I'm curious to see how they manage. But yes, summer 2025, they say there's an expansion. Winter 2025, they say there's an expansion. So, expansion is not going to be a full annual. We're not going to get a final shape. We're not going to get a Witch Queen. We're not going to get a Lightfall, which might be a good thing to many of you. But we're also not going to get a Witch Queen or the other. So, new stories, new locations. You have to picture these as 6 months. If you go 6-month cadence, you're going to have to picture things like Warmind, Curse of Osiris. So you're going to have some story there. You're going to have a location, possibly. They do seem to be going with those. Missions, weapons, gear, raids, and dungeons. They will probably choose where the raids and dungeons fall. And that's one we do not really have a clue where that stuff's going to fall. I'm guessing it's going to be more new versus old. But only time will tell. Dungeon, I would expect, would typically always be new. A reprised raid, like if you're like Scarrow out there, he's hoping for Wrath of the Machine. I don't know if they'll do a reprised raid or not. That's kind of up to them, what they have scale and time for. But if you get a raid in one expansion and maybe a dungeon in the other expansion, that may be what fits. It depends on how much they've got of a team to be able to still build this content. But as there are typically 2 seasonal teams working on stuff, it's going to be interesting because, in theory, if you have, like, because we talked to Tom Farnsworth, and there was, like, an Alpha and Omega, 2 seasonal teams, and they're always working on, like, whatever season they're on, and then as soon as their season's done, and probably launched, basically, because more often than not, the work is mostly done by then they have about 6 months, because they have their season to progress, and then they have the next season that the other team's working on. So they have about 6 months from when their season comes out. This is going to give them the launch of their expansion, and then they're going to get the time during the updates and stuff like that, but also the time where Behemoth is going on. They're going to get even longer to work on stuff. So if you do 6 months in chunks, and then you have seasonal updates in between, now I don't know if there's going to be time gating, if this stuff is going to drop all at once. It's not really a good way to know that, but this is at least a plan. Gives you an idea what's out there. Sounds like time to move on from Destiny versus grinding the same thing over and over with an updated facelift. And that's totally fair. If you're reading all of this and you're like, this is not that exciting to me, that is 100% okay. Because plenty of people would be like, hey, I beat the Witness, I'm good. And that's totally fine. Believe me, there's a lot of people who are there. I'm going to cover Destiny as long as I still enjoy it. I won't cover it as hard. I'm not going to grind out things. I'm not going to go for every red border in a raid, which I haven't done in a long time anyway. But I will jump in. I'll see what stories they want to tell with the characters that they've got. I'll see how, dungeons are and exotic quests and those kind of things. That stuff I still enjoy in the game. But I'm not going to, grind out everything. I'm not going to go for god rolls on every weapon, high season pass, that's just not something I do anymore. I don't. There's too many other things that I want to play. And that's just kind of where I'm at. So everybody has to kind of look at Destiny of what their enjoyment is like, what their experience is like, and figure out how much you want to jump in. And a lot of people right now who played, you don't even know what red borders are. That's fair. Red borders are for crafting. So if you find enough weapons that have their crafted frame to them, you eventually unlock the ability to craft a weapon when you find enough of those. But yeah, if you don't know what that is, you haven't played in a little while. And that's totally fair. If you haven't played since Witch Queen, I guess, because that's I think when that started. But yeah, picture your scale. An expansion is not going to be a full 8 mission. Now they say new location, so I'm kind of wondering how they're going to manage that.
But yeah, new locations, new missions, new weapons, new gear, new raids and dungeons. They say new, by the way, not reprised. So not once in here is the word reprised. And that's totally fair. Really looking forward to other games. Last 10 years had FOMO with Destiny with limited time to play. Chose this game versus others. I mean, I missed out on Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, just to name a couple, and I love Zelda. Absolutely love Zelda. So it's like when Switch 2, whatever that thing is, comes out, I will be playing those at some point. I hope I can find the time, but it's usually about playing what's new. But I mean, even like Plucky Squire, Frostpunk 2, Assassin's Creed, Dragon Age Veilguard, Diablo 4, Vessel of Hatred. And there's a lot of stuff out there. 10 years may be enough, but, it's like they are going to try and do things. So the question for a lot of people is going to be, is this stuff fresh? Is it just still shooting the same 4 or now 5 enemy races in Destiny, getting another horizontal gun change where it's like, hey, this perk's kind of cool. It's different. That will be a question a lot of people have. We'll come back to that picture. So the roadmap lays out our plan for year 11 and beyond with some exciting changes to our annual model. 2 expansions per year, 4 major updates of free content every year, so the seasons being free. Over the next few months, we will be sharing more information with you with regards to Codename Frontiers, which is how we are describing major innovations coming to Destiny 2. So that's what Codename Frontiers is, all the innovations they're going to be doing. Coming to Destiny 2 over the next few years, starting with our next expansion, Codename Apollo. We have several dev insight deep dives going live today, and we'll continue to add more to this list over the weeks and months to come. Today we also have Tyson Green and Allison Lurs, so you've got the game director and the narrative director diving through some of our future plans in Destiny 2. Our goal is to be more transparent in communication with you. Well, we'll see how that goes. This means sharing our work more frequently, even if you see our mistakes and false starts along the way. So please remember, our roadmap and plans are subject to change as we get deeper. That's one thing I gotta tell everybody. Please don't take every single thing somebody says tooth and nail, blah, blah, blah. Like, don't hold them to every word because they're trying to be very clear. Things change. Even the whole Microsoft stuff. This game's never going to come to PlayStation. Business models change, guys. Just roll with the punches. If you get to play a game, cool. Be happy it came out at all. Ultimately, this is your game too. We want to see more of how this is made and why. If you take away nothing else, it should be this. We're excited for Destiny to change and improve in ways that allow it to keep evolving in the future. So it does feel like Destiny 2 is here. And this is a very obvious thing. A lot of people want a Destiny 3. Right now, that is not possible. I will just straight up tell you. Because, choices in the studio, they chose to go after Marathon. Now, some people are going to get annoyed that they went after Marathon as a new thing that they could create. You also have to picture the people who went after Marathon had been working on Destiny for about a decade. Because it took a few years before we ever got to play it in D1. They were making it for a few years before that. Probably at least. I forget the number. There's been a whole lot of stuff that happened there. And some of those people had been making that game for a very, very long time. After a while, they want to make different stuff. They were afforded the opportunity within that studio still to be able to go make something different. An extraction shooter and Marathon. We will see if it's successful. I don't even know if that's game is the same thing we heard about years ago. But whenever that comes out, that's a group that sounds like they were done with their Destiny work. They got the opportunity to make something else, and that's what they went to go do. So that if that group had gone on to make Destiny 3, you would have had Destiny 3 being worked on for like 3 or 4 years. And that may be what some people want. But being as that did not happen, and you've lost some of the incubation teams, one of them was taken over by Sony, people have moved over there. Thankfully, it's like Sony truly took over about 225 jobs from Bungie, so those people didn't have to get retired. Poor wording. If those people got fired, sadly, let go, all of the poor things that happened over there with the layoffs and everything. A lot of people lost their jobs. Sony saved some of them. But over all of this, Destiny 3 has never been in the works. So hoping for that anytime in the remote future is just not a good idea. Now, if that's something that happens 5 or 6 years from now, maybe. But right now, it is just not in the cards. So I just want to be very clear with that. It's not that I wouldn't want it. That is one of the things that would give me the fresh update. If they made a completely brand new Destiny and it was 3, that would give me a reason to come back in. Right now, we just have to play this by ear and see what they do with what they've got because they have a live game and when it comes to a live game, they're not going to just like throw it all away because it's still the only thing making them money because, Marathon's not out yet. Yeah, the dev post is out. We're going through a couple of them right now. 2 expansions a year sounds like a money grab. Depends on the price. I don't know how much these are going to be. Maybe they're 25, maybe they're $30 each. If those are $30 each, that's one normal size game per year. If they're $60 each, I'm probably going to have some questions too. So I don't know what the pricing model is going to be. If they're $30, season pass is available to everybody. You get a raid, you get a dungeon. We will just have to see. I don't know what the pricing model is going to be. I don't know if they're going to tell us quite yet. So activities, rewards, and the portal. Oh, we got a full chat to go through here. All right. So dev insights. So if I come back out, we looked at core game activities, rewards. Oh, that's a whole different page. So we'll get to the activities, the rewards, and we did cover the portal. Yeah, we got a couple other things to cover. We got a lot to cover. This is not a short day, but we are here. So first thing we're going to talk about the vision for the future of Destiny 2, and then we talked about the core game for like activities. I did do that recording already, so I'll kind of put that at the end of the overview. But they've also got rewards, and then they've also got the portal itself as kind of a system to get into these things. So we'll talk about each of those. But for now, my name is Tyson, and I'm the game director for Destiny 2. I'm excited to speak today about our team's vision. First and foremost, we all still love Destiny. It is a unique and challenging game for both you and for us. I've personally been working on Destiny for 15 years. Yeah, and apparently there's a 10-year anniversary post too. We have some stuff to read. Yeah, he has been working on Destiny, but he's been behind the scenes, but he has been working on Destiny for 15 years. When you wonder why some other people wanted to go make some things, picture working on the same thing for a decade and being like, hey, I'd like something fresh. There were some people there. Some people like Tyson Green wanted to keep going. So different people had different objectives, and that's totally fine. Not everybody's going to stay on the same thing that long. There are not many games I could say about that, but at the same time, we recognize that it's become too rigid. Expansions started to feel too formulaic and are over too quickly with a little replay value. Seasons and episodes keep getting bigger, but can still feel like you are going through the motions. We believe it's time for Destiny to change and evolve, and that our community wants this game to grow and innovate. And to do that, we need to start breaking some of the molds. Annual expansions. So, we're going to start with annual expansions. We love creating annual expansions and are especially proud of the Final Shape, and you should be. Final Shape was actually fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But the truth is that they dominate almost all of our development effort. We need to free ourselves up to explore and innovate with how we deliver Destiny 2 content so we can invest in areas of the game that will feel more impactful to players. Starting next year, instead of one big expansion, we are going to deliver 2 medium-sized expansions, one every 6 months. Each of these will depart from the one-shot campaign structure we've been using essentially unchanged since Shadowkeep, and each will be an opportunity to explore exciting new formats instead. We are excited to try new things that challenge your idea of what Destiny experience can be. We are actively prototyping non-linear campaigns, exploring experiences similar to the Dreaming City or Metroidvanias. If you say Metroidvania, you might get me a little excited, but you better actually deliver if you're going to say that word. And even more unusual formats like roguelikes or survival shooters, each expansion will present a new opportunity to try something different. I mean, if nothing else, the fact that there are the ideas of innovation, and that's the one thing I think a lot of people wanted. We were all very tired of the same thing over and over and over. And it was like, even with like Final Shape, we got an expansion and a cool destination and some secrets. But when everybody was done with that, peace, we out. And like, we're done. As you said, there's not a lot of replay value. So departing from one-shot campaigns doesn't mean we are turning away from great storytelling. Going forward, we want to return the mystery and wonder that was woven into the fabric of early Destiny, when the story felt ripe with possibilities and an epic sense of exploration and discovery. Great stories are important as ever in our creative vision, and Allison will touch more on that below. Yeah, any Metroidvania, I'm always a fan. So if you can actually deliver, we will see. Yeah, don't go roguelikes. Metroidvania, yeah, come on. Survival games now, like all of those I'm here for. Just gotta actually see if you do them. Yeah, I mean, if Bungie drops like a Metroidvania season summit, I don't even know how they could do that. You know what that would take though to do a true Metroidvania in Destiny? Like, because you're basically doing Metroid Prime, which is polished as all hell by Nintendo, and you're doing it in Destiny. Like, that is no small effort to make in an expansion size thing. So I don't know how you deliver the scale of, because like like a Metroidvania game in size, if you compare it to like the 3D spaces we get in Destiny, would be absolutely massive. Like it really, really would. So I mean, sure, the idea of it's hopeful, but I don't know how you deliver that in something like Destiny without having just an absolute, because that's the whole point. You got to explore for a while, you got to do different things, you get an ability. You're like, okay, now I can go back here to some other places. Like, it's a really, really hard genre to do. And like, Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, absolutely one of my favorite Metroidvanias, and you guys are like the Ubisoft game? Absolutely. Not the Rogue Prince of Persia, that's the roguelike, but the Prince of Persia The Lost Crown, there's actually DLC coming for that soon too. That game has some of the toughest platforming, fantastic like some of the best combat I could have ever hoped for in a game like that. Like, you've got a bar of Metroidvanias, so if you say that word, you better know what you're stepping into there, because that is a really, really high bar to hit, and I don't know if you're going to do it. So please tread carefully with the word choice. Anyway, seasons. With the change to 2 expansions per year, our seasonal model will begin changing as well. Instead of 3 episodes, parenthesis, which lasted 1 year and that seemed to not work, we will be building 4 major updates per year, aka seasons. One every 3 months, so we're back to that. Oh, they partially did before Season of the Witch, in which it opened more when Morrison. Yeah, there was the Season of the Witch. It was the Shattered Realm, I think it was called. I probably have the name wrong. That was the closest they got to a Metroidvania of things. But the whole weekly cadence was kind of, and that's kind of the thing. It's like, do you unlock it weekly and then you get to see new stuff, kind of? But yeah, I don't know. That was the first tease they did of that, so we will see. I mean, they did a little bit of a roguelike with like deep dives and what was the whatever the lair, whatever this one was this season. Um so like they've dabbled in some of that stuff, but they need to fully commit. They can't just do like a beta version. Same thing with even like Into the Light and Onslaught. Onslaught is tower defense like beta 0.5. I want to have more options, more customization, freedom of placement. Like if you're going to do a true tower defense horde mode, you better give me a lot more freedom and control, because your turret can only go in this one specific location. Well, why? These turrets or these what were they? The trip mines. These trip mines all suck and no one should ever pick that thing. Like, come on. Each expansion will launch alongside a major update at the start of a season, and then a second major update will follow 3 months later to refresh the core game with new and reprised content, including activities, strikes, exotic missions, or entirely new modes like Onslaught, the rewards, weapons, armor, artifact, mods, exotics, and more, new weekly events, new features, and combat meta and balance updates. Tell them how you really feel. I'm trying to be honest here. Okay, so each episode comes with a season. Shocking no one, we get a season at the same time as an episode, which unfortunately I feel like a lot of us is basically going to be the fact that the season that comes with the expansion is likely just going to be looked at as less, and then the major update, whatever happens 3 months later, halfway through that expansion cycle, is going to be the one that people are like, all right, this one's going to be hopefully better. So it is one of those weird things where you already set your expectations with how we've previously experienced it, to say, hey, when Apollo comes out, the major update for 2025 is going to have new and reprised activities, but is that just like your selection of strikes, some PvP maps? Maybe they do something like an Onslaught in there, which might be something, but yeah, the season stuff, that's the stuff that everybody's a little less excited about. The stories with the expansions, probably where you'll see more people around, but we'll just have to give that a wait and see. The big seasonal resets will still happen, but now twice a year alongside the expansions. Each update will be a substantial refresh on the core game, bringing new activities and reward content, but we are also excited to announce that, like Destiny 2 Into the Light, these updates and their content will be free to all players. That's a good thing. Honestly, giving free stuff out, that is a good thing. We want Destiny to be easier for anyone to play and recommend, so we want to remove the major barrier for that experience. You want to know another barrier for your experience right now? Let me go look at Steam real fast. Hold on. Let me go look at the Destiny page, even though I own it all, so it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. If you would like to own all of Destiny, what does that cost right now? It's really not the best experience. Yeah, I own it all. But whether you're going to buy the Legacy Collection, the 30th Anniversary Pack that should not still exist, why? Witch Queen, Beyond Light, Forsaken, Lightfall, like, come on. And I know the Legacy Collection lumps some of those together, but all of those, you need to simplify your purchase. I got to be completely honest. That is one thing. If you want to lower the barrier of entry to Destiny for a new player, you need to simplify the experience of what they purchase. Because if you're going to ask them to pay $70 for the legacy content, are you freaking kidding me? So the Legacy Collection includes Lightfall, Witch Queen, Beyond Light. Oh, I'm sorry. Lightfall and Witch Queen, but now they have the Beyond Light pack. Beyond Light and Shadowkeep campaigns are open to all players in Destiny 2 and are not included in this pack. So the Beyond Light and Shadowkeep campaigns are apparently free. Did not know that. But again, Lightfall and Witch Queen. How old is Witch Queen now? We had Final Shape. We had Lightfall. We had Witch Queen. We've had delays in there. By the time this comes out, Witch Queen is going to be really old. But you're also buying Pit of Heresy Dungeon, Shattered Throne Dungeon, Grasp of Avarice Dungeon. Dungeon keys for Lightfall and Witch Queen are sold separately. That's the stuff that has to stop. Has to stop. Like, I will say that right now. You want to remove the barrier to entry? Get rid of the cost of every other piece of the game. You want to charge for the new expansion? That's totally fine. You want to charge for Final Shape? I could kind of understand that. Anything else should be part of the game. Or if you just want to get like, hey, here's the Final Shape, and here's the everything else package, $20. I don't want to take out a small car loan to be able to buy all of Destiny 2. And I know that's extreme. It's probably like $150. It's not a car loan. But $150 for stuff that is years old, it's dated content. You do not need to be charging for that one right now. A really, really small car. Yeah, like a Matchbox car. Hot Wheels, maybe? But that is one of my major pain points and has been for a while. What are the pop-ups, the prices? If you want to get people to play this game, if you want to get new people to play at all, you need to make basically everything else free. You need one major entry point for purchase. You need a lot of free stuff that people can jump into. And you need to simplify that stuff, otherwise it is just going to... Now, the CFO of Bungie may turn around and look at me and say, hey, here's our balance sheet. Remember all those things you were saying that should be free? They make us X number of dollars. And I'm like, okay, well, let me see your player activity sheet, because you have a lot of numbers that I don't get to see. But how many people try... Like, there are some metrics I would love to look at within Bungie. Obviously, we'll never get to. How many new players come in and bounce off quickly from pop-ups, from paywalls, from other things when they come in and see something that is not a positive experience and that almost might feel like a mobile game? That is going to be a bit of a problem. Sorry, I had to blow my nose. So, yes, I appreciate the seasons are going to be included. We know expansions are going to be your bigger paid content with stories, probably voice acting, destinations, raids, dungeons. That stuff is cool. But you have got to get rid of the pricing on the old stuff. You really, really do. Like Final Fantasy XIV. I know this is an example everybody probably hates. That's 16. Where's 14? So they have an online download demo. They have the starter edition. And then they have the newest expansion. Those are the literal only things you can buy. The only thing you can buy is the starter edition for $20. What did I just say? $20 for everything else. And then they have the newest expansion, Dawn Trail. That is the only stuff you can buy. That is it. That is the only thing you can buy. That is exactly how you should do it in Destiny, because otherwise you are going to piss off. You should just do Destiny 2 Starter Edition, and that comes with everything else in the game besides the newest expansion. Why is that so difficult? You don't need a Tetris puzzle worth of things that you have to buy to be able to have an experience in Destiny. Otherwise, what are you doing to me? So yeah, that is definitely a thing. Anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox now. Sorry about the rant. Core game. The core game in Destiny is always available. Evergreen activity experience. We need to fix two key things with it. One, approachability. First, Destiny is too complex. To some point, yeah. That's why there's so many of us content creators that do guides. Part of it is because Final Fantasy subscription. And that's fine. But like, if you're going to do a $30 expansion every... Money. Okay, fine. Let's have that discussion. Part of it is their subscription. You do have a subscription in Final Fantasy. That's fine. But you want to know what that subscription allows? Things like free transmog or other things like that I know Destiny has still probably tried to monetize. Now, the expansion is a small part of the outlay. They're going to have other things up front, but they also have microtransactions in Destiny, along with cosmetic that cost things, along with season boosts, like so many other things that are still there. But it's like, if you want people to start, my biggest thing is like, the subscription may be a thing, and if they went to a subscription model, at this point they would have a really hard time selling it because they can't prove it. Just pointing out, subscriptions, cosmetics, and retainers are a big part of their model, and that's totally fine. But for me, it's just like, if you want new players to come in, get your $20. You know, they have cosmetics that actually look good. If you get people hooked, but it is one of those things that after a while, somebody's going to find something in that cosmetic store they might want to buy. But you got to get them in the door. If you piss them off before they ever get in the door, that's kind of the big key for me. So, I don't know. I don't have all of the pricing information, but I really would love them to just simplify it. Be like, hey, everything that's past, like Final Shape will probably cost for a little while because you're getting quite a destination, a hell of a story. But anything before Final Shape, by the time Apollo comes out, let me say that. By the time Apollo comes out, everything before Final Shape should damn well better be included if you buy Final Shape. And that's what it should be. Like, you could probably buy Final Shape and everything. That's your starter edition. And then Apollo could be a thing. And that's it. Those are the only two things that you should be able to buy. That's it. Otherwise, if you can't get them to actually make that initial purchase and try it, you're never going to keep them around. And that's one of the reasons our player base is as low as it is right now, because of specifically that. It's just one of those things you can't get away from, is you need people to play and stay around if you're going to be a live service game. If I go and I look, and I know everybody hates going to look at like live numbers, but if Destiny 2 is sitting down here, oh my god, that's low. I know nobody's playing right now because everybody's looking at these articles, but like 23,000 players right now, a peak of 31,000. If you want those numbers to go up and you want to build a player base, you need to get people in the door and keep them there, and having a ridiculous pricing model is not going to do that. Okay, rant over part 2. Sorry. Approachability. The first Destiny is too complex. With hundreds of activities, you practically need a PhD to decide what to play and how to get the rewards you're looking for. I mean, you're not wrong, it's not totally crazy, but yeah, your onboarding is also terrible, so nobody knows what to do. We're going to start to fix this by modernizing our activity UI, the director, to make it easier for everyone to find and launch into great activities, and are reworking our reward model to make sure that all of those activities offer meaningful rewards. Our deep dives on activities and rewards go into that more. We covered activities, we will look at rewards in the portal and the 10th anniversary, so we've got a lot to discuss. Apparently I'm doing a podcast today, and then a discussion of all this on Thursday with the guys. Let's see. Gear and challenge should matter. Gear should matter. Actually, better yet, armor should matter. I don't care about armor and have not cared about armor in so long. It's just a slot to put some mods. But my armor that I'm wearing, if it's good enough, I'm not grinding for it. Every one of them's deleted more often than not.
So even great activities stop mattering if the challenge dries up and the rewards aren't worth it. So we're investing in a greatly improved challenge customization system that lets players of any skill range find the right challenge level for them. Esoteric's going to do everything solo because he's a beast, and I will be down there at level 1 trying to get my way through something, with rewards that improve based on the challenge level you take, which is not a bad thing. These activities won't just be simple incoming damage increases either. The team is cooking up some great gameplay modifiers that give enemies some exciting tools to mix things up on every run. We'll have a deeper dive coming soon to show off some of these new threats, but for now, excuse me. Sorry, I'm not editing any of this out. This is just going to be uncut. So you're listening to the audio and you're like, man, he yawned? The only thing I'm going to edit's the order. I'm not going to edit out a yawn. Sorry, that's just life. For the rewards, there will be higher tiers of the legendary gear. Think adept weapons and artifice armor. Really? Well, that's only been 10 years in the making. Ebontis, live and uncut. Yeah, definitely not after dark because it's very sunny outside. It's actually nice weather outside, but that won't be around for very long right now. These will be available from the higher challenge ranges in a much wider variety of activities across both PvE and PvP. These two changes will help the core game experience be easier to drop into and much deeper in terms of the variety and pursuit of personal mastery. And they are a starting point for ongoing changes aimed at continuing to improve Destiny in these regards. The next multi-year saga that starts with Codename Apollo. Sorry for the big entrance there. But they just said the words multi-year saga. So, in case you're wondering how long they're going to be doing this, they're going to be here for a minute. Hello, I'm Allison. I'm currently Ebontis, but I'm reading Allison's words, so sorry about that. I'm a fresh face at Bungie. I started doing narrative direction for Seasons in fall of 2022, and my first D2 expansion was the Final Shape. Well, if you were part of the Final Shape, you did well. So, hats off on that one. We're proud of the Final Shape and the ending we created for the Light and Dark saga, and we know that the episodes that follow would act as an epilogue, tying up Light and Dark's hanging threads. And that is part of the reason I think nobody's really compelled. Yes, I know you were concerned, Spectre. I think that's why a lot of people aren't really compelled to play right now, because, like, how many of you read an epilogue in a book? How many of you read a book? That's a different question, even myself. But I'm usually busy playing games. But generally for an epilogue, you're like, it's fine, but it's not doing, there's no weight to the events that we have. We're going to get done with episode echoes, and it's not going to change anything. Whatever is going to happen tomorrow with Maya Sundaresh is going to, in my opinion, probably not go out like it with a bang. It's probably going to go out with a whimper, I feel like. So it's kind of one of those things, like, episodes might have some cool, like, moments here or there, but honestly, it's just like the stories don't have any weight to the world, and what's the point. So the episodes close doors and open new ones, purposeful new ones, storylines that are set in place to prepare us for what comes next. So maybe there's some implications of what's coming next, but we will see. And what is next is our new saga. So we've got some concept art, what looks like kind of like it looks like you have like these floating pods. I don't know how else to call them. They're like floating vases with like lines connected to the ground. You've got what looks like a beached ship on kind of a dark sandy beach with kind of like a pink background, but it also looks like there's some mountain and outcroppings that go way above any of that stuff on the ground that we can see. Not a clue what this is in reference to, obviously, concept art. You'll see teases of it in the later 2 episodes, and then fully kick off with Codename Apollo. So you're basically telling me Echoes really doesn't have a whole lot to anything. Cool. I mean, I'm not surprised. It hasn't felt like a lot is going on. We've been, kind of dealing with the soap opera of Osiris and Saint, which, having a existential crisis as anyone is going to be kind of a tough thing, but that's been most of the story. And then Maya Sundaresh has been kind of the quiet villain in the background. She wants to do what she's doing, and then it's going to be over. I feel like not much is going to happen there. This next saga is also based around a core theme. Much like Light and Darkness did, it will introduce plenty of new characters, factions, twists, and more. There's a lot more here we will say eventually, but we don't want to spoil the journey for you. This will be a multi-year journey, one we can't wait to take you on. Our first expansion, Codename Apollo, is a non-linear, character-driven adventure. Non-linear.
Like, I've been playing Star Wars Outlaws. You could describe that as a non-linear game because you have a choice of which planets to go to try and recruit people to be part of your team, to try and do this thing. Interesting. What do we mean by Codename Apollo is non-linear? Previously, in the stories like Final Shape, you experience the story but A to B to C to D in a nice straight line. In Codename Apollo, our story takes place over dozens of threads you'll experience and discover, or explore and discover. So when you land on our brand new location, so we have a brand new location for Apollo, that's good to know. The story starts at A. Then you can choose whether you want to go explore C, maybe try B, or go investigate D. That sounds exactly kind of like the story of Outlaws, is you can choose what planets you want to go to, what factions you want to deal with. You get a bit of a choice there. Not a bad thing. Depends on how you like your stories told. I think this will be a plus for some, minus for others. And the options you didn't choose, don't worry. Those other options are still open for you to go back and play through. You'll need to. Because the more you play and discover, the more the story progresses. So experiencing a certain number of threads opens up the next part of the story. The order in which you explore them will be something you choose, but we have built Codename Apollo in a way the story always makes sense and flows from beginning to middle to end. There's no time gating, no waiting for the next drop. Codename Apollo story unfolds based on player progression. Now that is good. So if you can go from A to B to D to C, and you can do it all just as you jump in on that first day and play, that is a positive. 100%. No more time gating. Thank you. Because that alone, the time gating of the episodes has been rough. So yeah, if you're going to tell a story, let us experience the story. That's the whole point. All right, so we have more concept art. So it looks like we've got a planet's surface, 2 moons in the background. We've got these floating, they look like giant paper lanterns, but they're huge, and they definitely are more than just that. And they have a very specific, they're like a very white kind of ivory aesthetic, but they look like they're floating, so I'm not entirely sure. They have kind of what looks like, I'm trying to think of the way to describe that. It's like 2 parabolic symbols that are touching in the middle, so they kind of touch at their little vertex part. And then what looks to be a couple of crashed spaceships. One of them looks like a really old NASA pod. So I don't know where we're going exactly. This could be Mars. This could be who knows. Not entirely sure. Those do look like kind of human spaceships, but they also look like they've crashed. So Destiny is at its best when it's mysterious, weird, and not afraid to try new things. The shift to non-linear stories isn't something we're locked ourselves into, but this is the structure that fits Codename Apollo best. The narrative structure of this release, the narrative structure of the release that follows will be quite different, a structure to suit that game's experience. And we want to continue to innovate with each expansion across both gameplay and narrative. So, honestly, if you get I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. So if you do a non-linear story, so you start out, you've got a main hub town where you might meet a couple NPCs or something. You've got 3 other destinations you might be able to go to, maybe other hub worlds or something like that. Hub world, or if you think of a bigger destination with 3 different main cities, you go interact with things, that kind of stuff. If that's the way you do one story and the other one's going to be very different, maybe it's not linear. Maybe it's, I don't know. If nothing else, the fact that we don't know that it's going to be A, B, C, D. Here's your 8 missions in order. Go from point A to point Z in that order directly, and you're good. I'm okay with change. So the fact that it's just not going to be the same every time, that alone is probably a positive. Is this enough to bring people back? Only time will tell. But I will tell you, at least they're mixing some things up. So I got to give them some props on that. Into the unknown. This all sounds like a big change, and it is, because when the rhythm of our story becomes predictable, or when characters and our world fail to change, that's how we create a situation, not a story. How can we innovate? By telling a story that keeps up with our innovation, not one that slows it down. That means an evolving world, giving space for new characters, growing and evolving factions, making sure the story we tell is in a world we have nurtured, and with characters who grow in turn. There are many characters that you talk to them for a season and you don't see them for 2 years, so I'll be curious if we get a little more consistency there. We believe in rewarding the player for paying attention without punishing someone for not knowing something. That way, everyone gets to come along for the ride no matter how deep they are into the lore. You'll see that approach starting with episodes and continuing into the multi-year story. Drifter. Yeah, where is Drifter? It's been a minute since we've heard from him. So when we think about a multi-year arc, what does it look like? Think of it as a constellation of stories united by a single theme. We will show you what the theme is later, but suffice to say we believe in it. Think of this multi-year arc as a web, not a line. Each release fits into the larger saga. We can't wait to take you on that journey. Story is easy to spoil, so I won't ruin the details for what the theme in Codename Apollo is or what it's about, but I will give you something to look forward to. Apollo ends with the narrative gasoline that will propel us into the next few years with a clear theme, goal, and a destination that won't come at you as a straight line, but will be well worth the trip. It'll reward you, it'll surprise you, and it'll take us places Destiny has never seen before. See you when the time is right. So, and with that, we've come to a close, and this is just for the kind of Codename Frontiers first article. Well, a new beginning, really. Over the next few months, we'll be dishing out more deep dives and engaging in more conversation. We have no doubts the above breakdown of Codename Frontiers plans to spawn far more questions than we can answer, but we're looking to keep you up to date as we take flight. Keep an eye on the deep dive section as we'll be adding links to further topics. Thank you again for joining us on the first 10-year journey in Destiny. We've been through so much, battling the darkness and stopping the witness. Now it's time to look to the stars again. It's time to imagine. It's time to dream big and explore what our futures can be within this universe. We have our heading, and we hope to see you join us along the way. For all mentions of free content, some content in PS4, PS5 requires an active PS Plus. That's fine. Okay, so yeah, that is Apollo's going to be a non-linear story. You've got seasonal updates that are going to be there for, random seasonal activities and gear, modifiers, that kind of stuff. Season pass you'll probably pay for, I would assume. The expansions will be paid with stories, locations, missions, weapons, gear, and dungeons and raids. So you might get probably one raid a year, maybe, where it makes sense with the story. Dungeon probably would fit in the other expansion, but I would not imagine you get a raid and a dungeon in both. If you're hoping for that, I think you're asking for too much. One raid, one dungeon over the course of one calendar year is probably the most you could expect. Now, maybe more, but I wouldn't hope for more. All right. So we talked about previously in stream, I talked about the core game activities. So I'm going to put this part of the recording in there now. Hello everybody, it is Ebontis, and in this video, I'm just going to kind of jump into this core game activities, developer insight, Codename Frontiers, kind of the future of Destiny 2. And we're doing this live on stream, so there will be a bit of discussion as we go through it. So this is just truly going to be my thoughts as we read it live. So I know we didn't have a podcast last week, but last week was a little lighter. We will have a podcast on Thursday to discuss this, both and the kind of season finale. So look for that one on Thursday. But for now, let's see what we've got to say. Welcome to one of many developer insight articles for Codename Frontiers. Over the weeks and months to come, we will be covering a lot of different topics about changes coming to Destiny 2 next year with these developer deep dives. So we've got a kind of a time frame of next year. Check back with our Paving the Way for New Frontiers article for more information. We will check that later, see if there's anything there. For now, let's talk about the core game activities. The core game is Destiny's always available ritual activity offering ranging from strikes to crucible to events. Going forward, an even wider range of core game activities will provide more variety, deeper mastery, and better rewards through the introduction of challenge customization. Alright, so TLDR on this. Core game activities feature a wide variety of new and updated activities across many types, with an updated selection every major update. See, that right there, when you start reading into the words, every major update. So I don't know if that's going to be every major patch that you get within an episode, if that's going to be just every content drop that they do, which by rumors, that could be 6 months, we don't know. But think about the wording that we get in here, because some of that's actually going to be very important. Challenge customization will provide a way to adjust activity difficulty with better rewards for those seeking more challenge.
And the new portal screen allows for quick access to core game activities, making it easy to find what you want to play. All right, so the problem. In past Destiny releases, all attention has been on a relatively small offering of newly introduced seasonal activities. Yeah. With most often a narrow range of difficulty options, if any, rewards and objectives have focused all purposeful play into these activities to the exclusion of most others. Screamed about that for a while, so you are reading my mind here a little bit. As a result, the ritual game quickly becomes stale and exhausted of worthwhile rewards, and any further pursuit requires a deep knowledge of Destiny and online guides to find worthwhile rewards in older activities. Well, yep, so far we're correct. What's the solution? The core game activities are those accessed from the new portal screen and are together a selection of several dozen new and updated activities that tie into the current seasonal theme and gameplay meta. The selection is updated every major update. Again, that wording, I want to know what the hell that means. And includes the current expansion and any running events. Now, expansion is weird terminology because rumor is there's not going to be one of those. So I'm not entirely sure. Frontiers, they say season 27. So maybe Frontiers is something new. Honestly, don't know. Until they show me what it is, don't get too excited about it. That's my recommendation for everybody right now. If you're having a questionable time in Destiny, it is okay to step away and play other things, as many of us are doing. I've been playing different things for years and years now. It's just I'm doing some of it more with you guys as well. So on this picture, we've got, and if you're catching this on audio, I'm probably going to drop this on the podcast platforms. If you guys are looking for that one, I'll try and describe it as best as possible. But basically, what we've got for the background picture, you're sitting in the helm, looking at the Traveler with the little triangle portal, and that's kind of the black and white background. Top left-hand corner, we've got Season 27 Frontiers. So Season 24, 25, and 26, that's going to be Echoes. And they're even calling it season, by the way. They're not even calling it an episode. Did we give up on episodes that quickly? Like, come on. So 25 is going to be Revenant, and 26 is going to be Heresy. I guess they still have to call them seasons, but they're episodes. They can't even get their terminology right, so that's fun. Yeah. Anyway, season rank 77. They've got a season power of 100. Now, that is a change. Right now, our number doesn't mean much. It really doesn't. So, the fact that we're 2000, like 2010, 1996, plus an artifact power... Not entirely sure how that's going to go. Now, if the season becomes something like 6-month content drops and you're going to be leveling up through some stuff that you do over time, I would have to go dig into leaks because I feel like I randomly heard some things. I don't remember how season power is going to go. I really would have to go back and dig into leaks to see if any of this stuff is kind of the same or not. So we'll have to see. Up at the top, we've got a curator. Quests, season pass, map, destinations, and store. So the curator is almost going to be just like a menu option that you pick. Now, they've got upcoming expansion and redacted name. So they technically do use the word expansion, which is, I think, a little surprising for all of us. So if there is an expansion, they have not told us a damn thing about it. I don't know if Frontiers leads into an expansion that they're working on later. Honestly, don't really know. Don't fully count out the idea there could be an expansion, but I also wouldn't get your hopes up as to the size, scale, or what it contains until they tell us otherwise. So this is 100% obviously a work in progress, but two, just keep in mind that, upcoming expansion could have been one of those things that was previously what they were planning to do, and maybe they've changed the way the content is named. So just keep that in mind. But the fact that they, after all the rumors and stuff that are out there, after all the stuff that may have possibly been leaked, and they're still putting the expansion in this blog post article, that is a choice. It's not like they just can't update a graphic. That is a choice. So you can read a little into that, but I would not read much into that. You've got, bottom left-hand corner, solo ops with a little asterisk, fire team ops. The fact that solo ops in there alone for me is probably a good thing because, man, it gets really annoying to fight with the idea of solo. Now, if you balance the activity for solo play, that is going to be a key. Pinnacle Ops, which is probably things like your Grandmasters. I don't know if they would put dungeons in there, but we'll see. Crucible and Event. They have a big tower icon, and then they have something on the bottom right-hand corner called Apollo. Now, the shape looks like the little shield icon that we've seen, like, that outlines the strike icon or Nightfalls and stuff like that, but it just says Apollo. Obviously, this is, work in progress type stuff. Apollo could be a code name for something, who knows? But overall, this is just a screen where you're going to be able to pick your activities and go from, but just kind of reading into some of the little stuff that's there. Early mock-up that is subject to change, of course. For more information about the portal, check the deep dive in the link, which is not even... I'm refreshing to see if the link shows up. Nope, no link yet, so we'll just go with that. That will apparently be up later. These activities cover a wide variety of activities, from strikes to dungeons to crucible, and are organized into categories similar to Fireteam requirements. Challenge customization. A major change to core game activities is that they all support deeper... Sorry. That's really selling the intensity of this one. How's it going? Sorry. Just gotta breathe sometimes. Everybody breathe. The major change to core game activities is that they all support deeper personal mastery and a corresponding deep reward offering. Now, if you're just gonna give me another enhancement core or anything else, I'm not gonna care. So we gotta see what the rewards are. We'll start with PvE activities, then dive into Crucible and PvP. All the PvE activities will now support robust challenge customization, exposed as new options alongside selecting difficulties. Okay. So, yep, they're changing up the leveling system again, by the way. So let's see. This is a picture. It says the Glassway, and this is all work in progress. This is why I wouldn't expect this stuff until like next year. We have 3 episodes to get through, which is going to put this thing out to... Well, we get Heresy in October, on October 8th, and then you got to go basically 36 weeks, so like 2/3 of a year. If you do 8 months from October, that's going to be like May, June, yeah, somewhere in there. Okay, so it says the Glassway, Expert 1, level 300, you got to strike, obviously. So you can go Advanced 3, 250, Advanced 4, 275, Expert 1, 300, Expert 2, 330, Expert 3, 370, Master 1, 400. Now, we all know, first day, Esoteric's going to jump into Master 1 by himself and beat it, and that's totally fine. That's not for all of us, but it is there if you want to do it. So you have Overview, then you got Rules with like a yellow circle, and then it looks like a little 3. I don't know if you're spending... like challenge something to it. Gameplay, you've got a blue, like a purple circle with like a little 3 up arrow. Then you got enemy power, scoring. So maybe the gameplay, you get some more power. Enemy power, you can buff up if you want some extra challenge. You can apply certain modifiers. And it looks like your rewards on the right-hand side, you've got, well, enhancement cores, engram. Looks like a Waking Vigil as a placeholder. So you got weapon, weapon, weapon. Looks like gear, gear, gear for like the picture. So probably armor. A exotic engram, and then a separate engram, which kind of looks like a prime engram. So that's the Glassway screen. Then they do another picture and they jump up to 370. So they've got Expert 3 selected now. So overview, rules, gameplay. Gameplay, now they've got 2 purple icons in there with 2 3 up arrows. The rules, looks like that's a yellow one still. We've got a lighter pink and enemy power. That's up to like 2 with a little up arrow. And then across the top, you've got gold level rewards with the 3 weapons, an engram, and then 8 enhancement cores. Maybe enhancement cores don't need to be a thing, but that's just me. All right, so work in progress mock-ups. Obviously, this is a work in progress if you're looking at the video, but I got to show you something. So challenge customization gives you the ability to select and activate challenge modifiers, which affect the ability you are launching.
These modifiers may introduce new enemy combatant abilities to increase their threat, introduce new combatant challenges that change the way you play, provide incentives for challenging your build crafting, raise the power target for the activity, globally increasing the difficulty. As a player, you will first be able to select a base difficulty such as Expert or Grandmaster. The difficulty will set some base tuning and a power target, but more importantly, will determine how many challenge modifiers you can add on. And in some cases, which challenge modifiers are available. Higher difficulty means more challenge modifiers to slot and a wider variety of them to choose from. So you pair that with your reward rating. Rising to the right level challenge can make an activity not only more fun to play, but more rewarding too. All core game activities will support reward rating, which is a combined team and personal score that determines the amount and quality of the rewards obtained at the end of the activity. Reward rating is increased by playing an activity at a higher base difficulty, applying challenge modifiers which have individual bonuses to reward rating, and higher personal bonuses from sources like power, artifacts, or buffs. Here's how reward rating works. As a team, you will earn a team rating over the activity, determined on a per activity basis. Sometimes this will resemble existing systems like Nightfall Score, but new activity types can have their own way to determine team rating. And I gotta say something, when it comes to something like a Nightfall Score, if you make me emote finish one more guy to get a higher level score for one of the most useless and kind of just trolling the enemies for no real purpose kind of things, maybe don't make that valuable. Just throwing that out there. If the emote finisher is still a thing in this, you're going to lose me a little bit. But obviously other activities have different ways to determine their rating. This outcome is shared by all members of the team, and will always try to mitigate competition between teammates for things like scoring kills or specific setups. Yeah, if you're working as a team, you better hope we're working together, because we're not trying to hurt each other, we're just trying to build each other's score up. At the end of the activity, your team rating is multiplied by any personal bonuses you may have. This final multiplied value is your reward rating, and this value is used to determine the quality and quantity of your rewards. Reward rating is used to determine things like the quality tier of the weapons and armor drop, or the quantity of useful consumables like enhancement prisms or ascended shards. In this way, you can select any core game activity, use your skill and build to take on more and more challenge, and earn higher and higher tier rewards. Pretty straightforward stuff. So, Crucible. Crucible is a unique challenge because you cannot simply add challenge modifiers or use the score of a team. This is a tricky problem that we're still working out. We're working through options like factoring in matchmaking ratings or leveraging existing progression, but each presents unique challenges to our end goal of ensuring that Crucible offers our PvP players a fair and complete path to high-tier weapons and armor. We'll be excited to share more of a solution when we have one nailed down. So Crucible is in the works. It's the best way to say it. Last little bit here, a little bit of FAQ. What about expansion activities? Expansion activities such as story missions or destination activities, that's what they mean by that, okay, present some unique challenges in how they relate to power and changing seasons. Our intended outcome is that expansion content is always a great way to start off a season and will have a path to higher tier weapons and armor, but that progress via core game activities will be part of that path. Raids and dungeons released with expansions still represent a pinnacle challenge for players and will have their own paths to the highest tiers and weapons. Now, this is the idea that we're still going to get an expansion. This could all be related to old stuff, so just remember, don't be like, oh, we're getting a raid, guaranteed. The only thing we know at this point is we are getting 2 dungeons with Heresy and Revenant. That's it. Anything outside of that, again, until said otherwise, we don't know if full expansions are coming. We don't know what they're going to be called. We don't know if raids are still coming. We just don't. Now, is there still a raid team at the studio? Yeah, but we don't know what that entails. We just don't. Are old activities going away? No, except for some seasonal activities that are normally removed at the end of the year. Older activities will remain available to launch from the destination map just as they are today. Over time, it is our intention to clean up and retire some older activity offerings that are well served by the portal, such as Vanguard Ops. This will allow us to focus on new activities that are more relevant to our current season. Our goal is to These have lots of ties to existing content, though, and we will need to be moved over gradually. That's what I figured the portal would cover. So if you're not even going to put stuff like Vanguard Ops in the portal, what are you doing to me? Maybe the portal's slightly different, but it feels like that's the stuff that would just like go right in there. But so it seems like the portal is your way to choose activities, whether it's solo or maybe later PvP, but I wouldn't hold your breath that that's going to work too well from the start. But right now, it's going to be solo or group activities at higher and higher challenge, where you can set it up to be even more challenging to hopefully able to get more drops from the activities. Okay, that seems fine. How does matchmaking work with challenge customization? For activities that support matchmaking, like those in Fireteam Ops, matchmaking will be available for some preset difficulties, but using challenge customization to enable different challenge modes, modifiers will be disable matchmaking. Okay, so this right here, not off to what I would call the best start. Because if you want people to play together, you could go into matchmaking. And then you could actually have like a little vote system if you wanted. You could propose something, somebody else could propose something, you could vote on which one you want, and you could try it. If you fail, you do. Sometimes you have to be able to fail. I have been playing Space Marine 2. If you jump into a substantial difficulty mission, not even the highest, not even at the high one yet, just substantial, and you fail, you fail. It's like sometimes I feel like they're worried about people failing, but if the game always feels too easy, then I feel like you're not really challenging. Now, granted, they are giving you options for challenging, but if you have to have a pre-made group to take on challenge modifiers outside of just the set difficulty, then I feel like part of the system is kind of lost already. Now, maybe that's me overreacting, but the fact that if you jump in here and you can't even mess with like gameplay or enemy power or rules, and you just like, you could throw it up there as an option, be like, hey, I want to propose this to the group, like that you match made with. Maybe they take it, maybe they don't, but you could try. I don't know. Not saying any of this is easy to build and program. Obviously, they haven't done a voting system for PvP maps, so I'm not sure why I would expect a voting system for anything else, but I'm just saying, if you can't do the challenge customization, which is half of what you just talked about, while matchmaking is on, I feel like you definitely are missing out on some of the benefit of the system. That's just me. While Fireteam Finder may be a good way to pick up some slack here, we also intend to feature high challenge options on a daily rotation in activities with active bonus rewards. These activities should have concentrated enough populations to ensure that matchmaking can do a good job setting up good matches with solid connections. So now that we went through the whole core game activities bit with the challenges and difficulties and everything, kind of that brief overview, we have a couple other articles that showed up after I read the Codename Frontiers, so we're going to jump over to rewards. Let's talk about core game rewards. Core game expansion and event activities will feature a reworked reward offering that provides a deeper reward chase across a wider range of activities. Weapons and armor will be available in a deeper range of quality across a wider range of activities. Well, the fact that you said armor is going to have a deeper range of quality, that alone is one of those things I've asked for a very, very, very long time. What's up, Bullet? Core game activities will have dedicated reward pools for different categories of activities. Gear will be labeled new gear during the season is introduced and is easier to recognize and build craft around. All right. The problem. In past Destiny seasons, only a narrow range of activities received updated rewards, leading to a narrow selection of activities worth playing. Shocking. These reward pools tended to be not very deep either, with most chases bottoming out with weapon perk rolls and armor not mattering much at all. Literally almost verbatim of what I said previously. Somewhere in this chat today, probably, much less other times. These problems have resulted in shallow, unsatisfying grinds and a tiny subset of the activities actually available to play, with their best rewards being a matter of luck rather than skill or mastery. You know, you might be onto something. The solution: weapon and armor tiers. Legendary weapons and armor will be available in a deeper range of quality tiers that layer upon properties like stat bonuses, enhanced perks, and other benefits. Now, before I go too far, if you get a tier 4 weapon that has some slightly better stats and then tier 5 just allows you to enhance your perks, you're kind of renaming and repainting what our system is right now. So
Oh, they actually have enhanced seasonal or enhanced what is that called? Origin traits. They're actually allowing you to enhance an origin trait. I love how Sortie, the tier 5 Kvastov auto rifle, named Sortie the scout rifle. When your sword isn't cutting it, you can count on Sortie the scout rifle. Somebody had some fun with some concept art, because if this is actually in the game, I'm going to laugh a little bit. Are these just enhanced weapons 2.0? Because yeah, now you're enhancing barrels, magazines, perks, and origin traits. Okay, for weapons, this will be similar to how Adept Weapons upgrades the baseline legendary. The base tier of legendary weapons and armor will be equivalent to current day legendaries, with higher tiers being generally equivalent to Adept weapons in terms of upgrades. So that is a little bit of my worry. Early mockups that are subject to change. These higher tiers of weapons and armor will be available. Now, the one thing I will say is normally when we get stat bumps, we get range, stability, handling, reload speed, the origin trait, but they actually have impact raised. So if you can make your weapons actually stronger, that's also going to make the higher difficulty activities possible. So that is a thing that you might actually want to go for, because if your weapons don't get stronger, and I'm just leveling up kill clip and, light mag and hammer forged rifling and field tested, and that's all I'm doing, that is not going to be enough to matter. Now, if you can also say that when that happens, my weapon hits harder and I do more damage, that will actually start to make a difference. I don't know what the scale of that will be, but if you can change the power of your weapon, which we have basically never been able to do, we'll see. Reward pools. Reward pools are complete sets of weapons and armor that are available as rewards from one or more activities. Some weapons are shared across multiple pools, but the majority of weapons and all armor are unique to a single pool. Yeah, tell me that makes sense, because I read it and about blacked out. A typical pool is a full armor set for each class, and enough weapons to provide multiple options for each slot. All of these rewards are available at all tiers. So each reward pool is deep and supports a range of challenge in the activities they're associated with. The major core game reward pools will be updated in every major update. So basically picture every 3-month season chunk. Core PvE rewards shared among more accessible PvE activities like strikes. Core PvP rewards shared among accessible PvP activities like Crucible. Pinnacle PvE like dungeons, Pinnacle PvP like trials. Every expansion will also contain 2 full reward pools. Expansion story, rewards shared among missions, exploration, and other activities in the expansion content. And then expansion raid and dungeon, rewards for expansion raid or dungeon activities. In addition to the above pools, some activities like events may have additional exclusives to that activity, such as an individual weapon or armor set. Now, I will still tell you, if the armor doesn't do anything exciting outside of just, I don't know, they've really got to sell me to care about armor, because I have really not in a long time. New gear will be a blanket category for all weapons and armor newly introduced in the current season, regardless of source. New gear will receive a special visual treatment to help players identify which weapons and armor sets are new, and which may therefore benefit from things like artifact bonuses. Some artifact bonuses which previously applied to specific perks, such as origin traits, will now be pointed towards the wider category of new gear instead. Oh, thank God. That's actually nice. Like, seriously, the fact that it's just going to come from any new gear is going to have a chance to have an artifact perk, that just makes life a lot easier. Also incentivizes you to use the new stuff, but I don't really care about the origin trait stuff typically anyway, so we'll see if it matters. This should provide more and clear build crafting options and make some shorter tooltips for the artifacts. The new gear, yeah, that's it. A little bit for the devs as well. We got to be honest there. New gear may be required in specific optional activities where players are looking for a level playing field. For example, a Crucible playlist option for players who want to play with and against the newly introduced gear. seasonal events centered on posting high scores in specific activities. All right, so does new gear mean old gear is being sunset? No, not at all. Existing gear remains unchanged and ready for use in any activity except those set aside for experimenting with new gear. It can be infused to achieve the same power as any newly introduced gear. The only specific advantage to using new gear will be some artifact synergies comparable to origin trade upgrades found on the existing artifacts, which you can always go without. Can I still obtain old gear? Absolutely. Exclusive gear will remain available from older activities such as raids, dungeons, or destinations. What's happening with weapon crafting? Weapon crafting is not going away and will continue to be a way to craft a specific role of a weapon. Our intent is for crafting going forward to provide a catch-up mechanic for roles you weren't able to nab from the original source. This may be because that source is no longer available or was gated by lockouts when it was in use, but ultimately we want crafting to support the weapon chase and not replace it. We'll follow up with more details in a future article. You want to know the one thing they didn't really touch on is armor. So for weapon tiers, if you actually start changing damage, and I mean, okay, so you've got like steady rounds or light mag or hammer forged rifling or outlaw and kill clip, which are already enhanced. So I'm wondering if the higher tier allows you to enhance different categories. It's fine, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be that much. If you start doing more damage with these things, then I will be kind of curious how that goes. I'm very curious what it actually implies for the tiers. The other one they mention is weapon and armor tiers. What is an armor tier going to do? Are we actually just going to slowly bump up your stat category from like +1, +2, +3, +4, +5 to all stats or something? Is that what we're going to do? I don't know. I mean, if you do a master level raid or master level dungeon and you don't get like a stat roll in like the mid 70s, I feel like that's just a waste of time on armor. Because if it's in the 60s, it's not worth the juice is not worth the squeeze. It's got to be a noticeable difference. Could that break PvP? And maybe, but let it break. That's my opinion. All right, so the next article is about the portal. So welcome to one of our mini developer inside articles for Codename Frontiers. Yeah, we've probably said that multiple times in this podcast, so sorry. The portal, development name may change, will be an easier modernized way to browse and launch core game activities. So TLDR, Portal will offer several categories of activities, each with a wide selection of new and updated activities, refreshed every 3 months with each major update. All activities in the portal will provide updated and worthwhile rewards, so it'll be easy to find something to play. The destination map will be cleaned up and focused on world navigation and accessing older activities. So the previous problem, the destination map, also called the director, is a mess, and even current players have difficulty finding a new activity, while new and returning players have some troubles. So the portal screen, the new default activity selection screen, replacing the current destination map. And as previously discussed, I think this will probably be a little out of order, but they're kind of rehashing it. So you've got Solo Ops, Fireteam, Pinnacle, Crucible, Events, upcoming expansion, which we now know is going to be like Apollo or Behemoth when you get there. Apollo's the first one down in the bottom right-hand corner. And then you got your season rank, season power, certain objectives going on. Kind of like your main screen, not your director, and where you pick what to do. And they have most of the main stuff like selected here for basic activities. And then if you want all activities, probably going to take you to the map, I would bet. Hit up. The emphasis of this redesign is quick and clean access to wider varieties of offerings. Every activity available to launch from the portal will feature updated rewards. The portal categories: Solo Ops, 1 to 3 player activities requiring very low time or social commitments. These activities are designed for solo players, yet are still fun with a fire team, and are easy to pick up and play for a quick session. Solo Ops will also feature a new activity type, which will get a deep dive soon. Hey, a little bit for the solo players. They're going to be happy. Fire Team Ops, 3 player activities for match-made or pre-made groups, designed for fire teams with more cooperation and coordination. These will feature activities like Strikes, Onslaught, The Coil, that's what I was thinking of, and new types in the future. Flashpoint Ops, 6 player activities for match-made or pre-made groups, planned for a future season. Is it even on there? They don't even have that listed on the picture. This category will be introduced later next year. It will feature more chaotic 6-player combat like offensives. And And we used to have some seasonal stuff that was like 6-player activities. They're just usually a little chaotic. Pinnacle Ops, 3-player activities featuring some more challenging content, including dungeons, exotic missions, full-length onslaughts. The Pinnacle Ops have an exclusive reward pool to claim, but success is not guaranteed. And Crucible, a selection of core Crucible playlists for solo players and fire teams, providing an opportunity to test your mettle against other Guardians. An exclusive reward pool is available to claim, with the same depth of tier as other categories. In addition to the above categories, the portal will also provide direct access to current expansion activities, as well as any current running events like Iron Banner or Festival of the Lost. Objective streamlining. The portal screen will also host consolidated and streamlined side objectives like bounties or seasonal challenges. That aspect of the redesign is still a work in progress, but the primary goal is to greatly reduce the chores, star chores. We've talked about that so many times on the podcast. Star chores. But the primary goal is to reduce the chores that need to be done before diving into an activity. We'll be sharing more information this year. We'll see. Bonus rewards. Every day, several activities in each category will have bonus rewards adding to their standard offering. These bonuses will include things like specific weapons, armor sets, specific armor slots. See, I'm so curious what they're thinking about. They have to do something to armor. They really have to do like an armor 3.0, because, man, currencies like enhancement materials, strange coins. The bonus reward is guaranteed from the first daily clear and available at a high drop rate on future clears. Activities with bonus rewards will be sorted to the top and easy to find, so you can quickly scan what's available and decide if anything's worth it. For match-made activities, excuse me, I gotta breathe in some of these sentences. For match-made activities, there will also be matchmaking at a wider range of difficulty options, which we've talked about on the core game rewards. So I think that's most of everything. Yeah, we have a few of these. All right, so we touched on core game activities, the rewards, the portal, 10 Years of Destiny, and paving the way. So we've got the 10 Years of Destiny. Let's see. So we've got a complete article when it's live later today. Oh, that's the 10-year art blast. I don't know if there's going to be cosmetics for it. Oh, that's just 10 Years of Destiny art. That's just going to be a whole bunch of art images if you want to go in there. Legends of Destiny art show, sculptures, artwork, merch. Oh, that's actually kind of cool. Dress like it's 2014. For starters, we've created a set of armor for each class inspired by the original concept armor. Just going back to the OGs. Defeat the Witness and become legend. 10 years ago, we shared a journey starting September 9th. Players will be challenged to a collection of tasks to earn the legend, title, and seal. Oh, you're just going to be able to have the title legend, period. Explore the Pale Heart, collect sweet loot, defeat the Witness, prevent the final shape once and for all. We have objectives scattered throughout the destination and challenges to complete the final shape campaign on Legend difficulty. If you've already tackled the campaign on Legend, you are good to go and won't have to do it again. We hope this title acts as like a book into the Light and Dark saga, and we look forward to Frontiers. Probably done some of that stuff. Not sure I want to go rehash all that, but we will see what it takes. A nerf Ace of Spades. I actually kind of love that. That's pretty cute. Looking to the future, we just read through all of that stuff, so I don't need to reread it again. Yep, that's just celebrating 10 years. So, this is the big one, and this is where we're going to end up. Codename Frontiers, summer 2025, whenever they feel that it fits. Expansion, Apollo. And summer update 2025, Codename Arsenal. Fall update 2025, Codename Surge. Got a rewards pass. That one feels like that's going to be maybe like a paid season pass. The season content is going to be free to everybody. Expansions with stories, locations, missions, weapons, gear, raids, and dungeons. Hi, Tundra. Our foster puppy, who I think we got a home for our foster puppy, so she's only going to be with us for a few more weeks. She's coming to hang out. First expansion, non-linear story. So if you played Star Wars Outlaws, for example, that's the most recent one I can think of, at least. Start here, have different tasks that you can go do, handle those in any order that you want to, and then they might culminate in something that moves forward, but that's kind of how that's going to go, giving you options of how you play. When it says new raids and dungeons and expansions, do not expect multiple. I just want to set expectations for everybody listening to this. I know many of you have either thrown the game away, given up on it, you've checked out. If you're still playing, you might be excited about some of this, but keep your expectations in check, because remember the scale of play. Like the raid team typically works on like one raid per year. max. So, I mean, if you get a raid in Apollo, you might get a dungeon in Behemoth. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less, but I would not hope for much more than that, just to keep things in check. Stories, locations, missions, weapons, and gear, yeah, that's probably going to be there for every season or every expansion. And they say new and reprised activities, so you might get a return to the coil or deep dives or things like that. We'll see. Onslaught, maybe an update version of those kind of things. Sandbox metas, artifact mods, that kind of stuff. And the reward pass, they have exotic weapons and cosmetics and resources. So it is more Destiny, which may be a good or bad thing for some of you. I think Echoes did not do them any favors. I think Revenant and Heresy have a lot of work to do to make something like Apollo and Behemoth exciting for people. I just think they do. I think the episodes have been kind of an in-between gap. They have been lighter than many of us hoped, and we're going to get 6 weeks of content at a time and then a 5-week break. 1 week of content, 5 weeks break, 1 week content, 5 weeks break. It's how some of us are going to play that. So you're not going to get a lot in between. So it is going to be a little bit of downtime. Maybe that gives them time to build up these expansions to be more, if they're not sitting there working on a final shape and the teams are just working on Apollo, and then half the team's working on Behemoth, and the raid team is just working on the one raid for the year, and maybe you get a dungeon in Behemoth, maybe you get 2, I would still be surprised. Depends on what teams are making what and who remains in the studio. We know the studio's not as big as it used to be, so you don't have as many resources, so you got to keep that in mind. All I can say is I'm going to be here for this stuff. I never said I'm going to quit Destiny, because I vary my coverage already. You guys know that. When I cover games, I cover Destiny in between other stuff. So whether it's Space Marine, whether it's Plucky Squire, whether it's things that make sense, good, bad, or otherwise, I will be here for the Destiny journey because I enjoy shooting things in Destiny. That is what keeps a lot of people coming back. The stories they tell, the experience of shooting the weapons in this game, and the levels, the raids, the dungeons, and the missions they make are really cool to experience. Do you need to live in it all the time? No. And we'll see if these are worthwhile things that kind of happen in the future. Do I think the pricing model needs massively simplified for new players to make this even an iota of hope? Yeah, I really, really think it does. But for the time being, this is kind of where we're at. So I think this is where I'm going to wrap up this recording, this video, for the moment at least, because this is the big stuff we've got here. I'm probably going to edit this into a podcast, so if you guys are listening to this in a couple different places, you'll find that one. We will talk about that one on Thursday, so I might wait to post that podcast on late Friday or Saturday or something like that, just so these get a little bit of a break. That way it's not too much of the same. We will be talking about all of this, but we're also going to finish up Act 3 tomorrow. So just know that I will be streaming the finale tomorrow. Probably going to have to run the exotic mission again, I'm guessing, because that seems to be the trend. And then whatever happens with Maya Sundaresh, we'll see the end of that one. But that is going to be the end of Act 3 tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And if you guys are enjoying my content, I appreciate wherever you find me or listen to me. I'm going to upload this to the Last Word Podcast YouTube channel and also the audio platform, because I basically talk the whole time. And I tried to describe everything on screen. If you want to check out what I'm talking about, go check out the Bungie articles. That's something you're going to want to go look at. And for the moment, we have an idea of what's coming. And it's going to be something a little different. Now, are the seasonal updates going to be anything drastically changed? Probably not. Are these smaller expansions with kind of stories told in a different way something different? Yeah, there's a little something to look forward to there. And it's only going to be one of those things that time will tell. Some people will truly have moved on, and some people moved on before Witch Queen. Whether you're still playing this game or not, I don't know if this is going to keep its hold into you. I just don't know if it's enough. But for those of you who still want a reason to come back into Destiny so often, this might be enough to jump in. Price-wise for an expansion, I really don't know where to put it. But for the time being, that's discussions for a later date, because they got to tell us how big these things are. So thank you all for coming to hang out. Thank you for listening if I occupied your ears for about an hour and a half. I know this was a short stream, but I'm going to edit this video. I've got some stuff to do. Thank you all for being here, though. Nice short stream. Was good to come chat. And I will be back tomorrow at Reset, and we'll be finishing up Act 3 and talking about that more. I'm going to be playing some Space Marine 2 in the meantime, and at some point I will be back playing Black Myth Wukong, depending on timing to stream things, but I will beat that game on stream. So if you're waiting to see me do that, it's coming eventually. I haven't forgotten, but I'm trying to play that only on stream. So have a good one, everybody. Thank you. Find me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Last Word, Ebontis, anywhere you find that stuff, that's me, and I'll see you soon. Podcast on Thursday as well.